Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Weighing In with Grant Turner and Mark Ostrander. I'm David Mirikitani. Our podcast is brought to you by USA Wrestling, the national governing body for wrestling in the United States, and by Nike Wrestling. Go to athleteps.com for all of your Nike and USA Wrestling branded gear. That's the first time I've done that without reading it. So guys, welcome. Talked to you both yesterday. Mark, you were kind enough to keep me company for about an hour on the road. GT, you were the third man in the booth unofficially last night with Jason Keck and I for the Grandview Baker Benedictine tri-meet. I want to thank Baker University for inviting Jason Keck and I out. How bad were we last night, GT?
You guys did great. The wrestling was really great. It was a great NAIA duel or tri-meet. So it was really well done. You guys crushed it.
Those guys at Baker are really, really kind to us. Cody Garcia, Jimmy May, Patrick Rhodes, that whole crew. They are very, very good to us. So I hope we get invited back. It's always nice. I get to come to Kansas City. I got a lot of people here. Jason Keck's always kind enough to put me up. And I was telling Mark, it's just like a 45-minute drive over. And we got to call the matches. And GT, on a serious count, thanks for helping us last night with some of the name changes in your guys' lineup and some of the background story. There was one crazy call where, Mark, you would have lost your mind. So the Grandview kid is tied. Let's see if I just describe this fairly, Grant, then we'll get into the pot. It's tied, and they go to the Baker kid gets away and they take the riding time down. The Baker kid had riding time and it goes from a minute to 59 seconds. And then they say he was out. So it's tied, but the one kid's got 59 seconds of riding time. And I'm on the air, and Grant will validate this part. I'm like, they missed it. He had a minute of riding time. They didn't stop it quick enough. They wrestle the entire third period. And with 1 second left, they go over and protest and they just add a second and change it. And the Baker kid wins. And what you're supposed to do in that case is they didn't have bricks either, which is a weird thing, but they were on their feet. They weren't in scrambles either, right, Grant? They were just sort of like in collar ties and stuff. They should have gone over and said, can you please stop the match right now? Like a minute 20, wherever it is. Protested it, said, I don't even think Nick would have argued the 1 second, Grant. I mean, I can't. They knew they missed it. But just give him the riding time and then let him wrestle it out where the kid actually knows he's losing and winning, both sides. And then, maybe the guy that wins, but maybe he doesn't. So just kind of a crazy scenario. All right. It's Cliff Keen week. So we're going to get into that. Let me see what else we got to cover. Yeah, we got to start with Suriano. Okay. Ooh. So Nick Suriano, obviously, unless you're under a rock, is going to Michigan. So I've got the rankings pulled up here. The rankings are very interesting because Suriano is listed in the rankings by one of the sources. So, but when you look at the team points, then that means only one of them has it reflected, that's why the range there is from 53 to 71. But if you add, let's start it this way, guys. I'll start with you, GT. If you had Nick Suriano in the rankings, where would you put him? At 125.
Let's see.
Probably 2 behind Spencer and ahead of Glory.
I would probably put him. I'd probably put him at probably 3 or 4, okay. Just because of Gloria and Courtney. Yep. Once again, Suriano's coming out of the woodwork a little bit. I still say he's relevant. Now, once again, I have no statistical data. It would just be an opinion to put him there until he wrestles. So I would probably put him at either 3 or 4, depending upon that. But I definitely think that, Spencer is number 1. Any of those other guys could vouch for number 2. Glory's right there currently, so don't have a problem with that. But I definitely put him at probably 3 or 4.
Mark, would you put him at 2? Mark?
I would put him at 2. Yeah,
Okay.
returning, he's a national champ, going down
So
the
let's
way.
just-
He was in the finals at, 25. It would have been 4
At
years
30.
ago.
Yeah, and then 33.
Yep.
Yeah. So
So-
people forget he made the finals, lost to Spencer, then he beat Dayton, then he's traveled the world, and now he's here. So for people that don't follow these points and geek out like we do, 16 is for second, 13.5 is third, 12.5 is fourth. That's without any bonus. That includes advancement. So say you take the average of that, which is about 13 points. And then, so you add those to the 3 numbers there and bring the average up by 10 points generally. That's going to bump Michigan to third and a little pretty, not to say free and clear, but ahead of Arizona State by a comfortable margin. So I am not liking my team picks nearly as much. I asked off air if I could get a breakfast ball, get a mulligan. I was told I got to live with my picks, so I will do so. But I'm probably going to lose that wing bet. Appreciate your guys' kindness and forgiveness on that, and me not having all the data at that time. Thank you guys for that. Appreciate it. So anyway, let's get into the rankings, and then we'll figure out with Cliff Keen what's going on with there. So 125. The 2 guys we basically highlighted were Suriano and Medley. For you guys at home, sometimes we combine these guys, like we could have added Medley's points to Suriano and then changed the average, and he probably would have met in the middle. But that's a really goofy ranking because he's not going to, there's nobody in their right mind that would rank Suriano 9th, something like that, the equivalent of 2 and 17 combined. So right now they think Medley's like a 1 and 2, 2 and 2 kind of guy, and they've got, Flo's got him as a finalist. Not a lot of other changes this week. Malik Heinzelman sneaking up into that points. Maybe what we'll do is this: we'll talk about 25 here and then go through Cliff Keen at the same time by weight. That probably makes sense. So if we do that, here's who's at Cliff Keen at 25: Glory, Schroeder, Heinzelman, Medley, Monchio, Kaler. So Mark, I'll let you go first. Do you see it as Glory, Schroeder in the finals, or do you see anybody else coming out of the woodwork, or what are your thoughts on the weight?
I see Glory and Schroeder. Schroeder's also Malik, who's, really the last year and a half has wrestled really, really well. But I think the last time they wrestled, which I think was maybe last year, I think Schroeder beat him 20-0. So he's really good on top, Schroeder is, and he's just so strong. I don't think Malik has made up that much ground in a year. So I'm going to go with, Patrick and Schroeder. And I think Patrick is he's just better. I don't know why I think he's that much better, but I think it's going to be probably a 5 or 6 point match. Patrick should win.
GT, I love the fact that Ostrander is on a first name basis with all these guys. It makes me smile every week. My 2 goals are to hear as many first names as possible and get Ostrander pumped up about something. So,
I said Schroeder, Glory, and Heinzelman early on, and then I switched it over to Patrick and Devin. Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Okay. GT, you and I have seen Heinzelman a lot, at that world level. He was a junior world team member. He actually beat Severato when you're in the finals. I got to be in the wrong corner of that. What do you think the odds are that Heinzelman has done enough on his feet, maybe picks neutral, gives up an escape, and has 6.5 minutes to try to get 1 takedown? Is that a reasonable scenario to you, or do you just feel like Mark, that gap is too big for him to have caught all the way up?
I think that Schroeder is proven to both, Mark and I, and pretty much, Heinzelman, to be honest, hey, you're going to have to wrestle my match a little bit more. And if Heinzelman just chooses to go neutral, I think Devin just goes and gets another couple of takedowns. So, once again, if you can widen out that gap a little bit or close the gap for Heinzelman's sake, that would be a really interesting match to watch. But I just see it going Schroeder's way.
Yeah, and I think the biggest disappointment here is no veto. I think Greg Diakomahalis, according to Cornell Twitter, is entered here. So he might be a potential bracket buster, just somebody to keep an eye on. We're recording this at 11 a.m. Central Time on Thursday. They generally put this up on Thursday or Friday, and the tournament starts Friday morning, Vegas time. So a little bit later if you're Central, or especially if you're East Coast. So, all right, 33, we'll just click back and forth here. So we go to the rankings and at 33. Not a lot of changes. Philippi lost. Michael McGee lost. Michael McGee lost, or Mikhail McGee, I think is how we pronounce that. Schmidt, we pointed out, is still ranked, even though the other Trey Crawford is wrestling for them right now, and he's down here. And Kairini beat Jarrett Tremblay. They were like within 1 or 2 spots of each other, Mark, I think, when we combined the rankings that Christian Thompson sends us to every week. So we just combined them. Job Greenwood had the big win over McGee. So I think, what this really does is this hurts Pitt big time in the rankings, team rankings, and it pulled Arizona State down because you go from that 5.5, 6.5 level to the 2-point level. So, and I haven't asked what's wrong with Schmidt, but it'll be interesting because we're going to hopefully get to that Mizzou Virginia Tech duel. We go over here to 33 at Vegas. Cannon, Rich, Ragusin, Turner, Schwartz, the transfer Matt Ramos, Drury, Joe Greenwood, who just proved to be dangerous, and Jake Leva are the top 10 seeds. Mark, or Grant, I'll let you go first. Who do you got in the finals?
I think Chris Cannon will make finals, and then I'll put I'm gonna go upset city. I'm gonna say Ramos.
There you go. There you go. So he would have to go through the 3 and the 2. And there's a lot of these guys are kind of, when you're at this point of the year, Mark, you and I have done rankings for a long time. Sometimes there's not that much separating them, or it's from a year ago and guys can either improve or stay stagnant. Do you have, I'm guessing you don't have Cannon Ramos. Who do you have in the finals?
I got Cannon and and for no particular reason, I don't know enough about Chance Rich, Cal Bakersfield. So I would like to see more of him, but I think Ramos will give Ragusin all he wants in this tournament. So I'm kind of interested to see how good Ramos is, because he's really good at freestyle. But I want to see how he does collegiate wise, because he was on the bench for 2 years at Minnesota. So, couldn't break the lineup, and now he's up a weight. And so let's see what happens.
Yeah. I'm a big Ragusin fan. I watched him wrestle a couple of times at Montini when we got to call that Beat the Street Chicago tournament. He's a goer. If you guys see me peeking over here, I'm looking at the tweet that Willie Saylor put out about the best case scenario roster for Michigan. And here's what it is. And I'll just blow through it. Suriano, and they're along with their best place at national. Suriano first, Ragusin 1 and 2, Misik second, Storr round of 16, Lewan round of 16, Cam Amin 7th, Logan Massif, he came back 5th, Miles Amin 3rd, Patrick Bruckey 4th, Mason Paris 2nd. I think Logan Massif's a 3rd or 4th as a freshman, if I remember correctly, but either way. So, there's a lot of ifs and buts there. You got to get Massa, out of retirement, and Misik's up 2 weights that we talked about. But Ragusin's the worst kid in that lineup. And you have a good lineup if Dylan Ragusin's your worst wrestler. And I think he's a guy that could jump levels. So definitely something for folks to look at here. This is a big match, or big place for him at Michigan to build towards, hey, we can contend not just for that 3, 4, 5 trophy, but there's some people that think that they can sneak into the top 2, and I don't know who they think they would knock out. You and we've all talked about this off the air, but it's interesting. So 41, this is interesting. In the rankings, the main thing to point out here is Ian Parker is still listed by one source at 41, but we really believe he's at 49. So we'd probably bump him up or down. And then Dusty Hone and Carter Young, we combined them. Carter Young won the wrestle off. And then we have Zach Redding listed there because he's on the same team as Ian Parker. So we go over here to CKLV. Carlson's actually the 1 seed, even though he's in Flo's rankings, he'd be ranked 3rd out of those guys. Alira's 2nd, Chad Red 3rd, Willett's 4th, Phileas 5th, then D'Amelio, Sains, Berglund on down the line. I'll go first here. I really, really hope we get to see Andrew Alira as Chad Red. Like, Alira's has dropped down. He's already got a good win over Alan Hart. He's another guy, GT, you and I have seen at a lot of freestyle tournaments. I think he was a junior Hodge winner. He was a world team member not that long ago. I get all the age groups. It's so crazy, but he just wrestled overseas like in the last 45 days. So, you know, he's probably still getting his folk style sea legs underneath him, but that's a great match. I'll pick the winner. Oh God, I won't be a coward. I'll pick Alira as over Carlson in the finals. GT, who you got?
I would take Chad Red, Willits.
I like it. 3 versus 4, and you got Chad Red winning, I guess, the way you said that. Okay.
Yeah.
Marco?
I like Alira's in the finals, and I like Willits in the finals.
Okay. And you got Alira as winning?
No. Yes. No, maybe. I don't know. I like Alira. I think, you know, I've been looking forward to this for a while, him being healthy and wrestling at the weight he should be at. So I want to see how good he really is.
Okay. Probably the money bracket of the tournament. And Yanni, Sasso, Yaya, Abbas, Lovett, Lamer, Mitch Moore, Storr, Blockus, Price, Crooks. So take a look at the rankings. 49, not a lot of change. Like Mikey Carr is here. Gomez is back. We want to point that out. They got Jared Dagan ranked here, most of the sources. We should figure out the Iowa State situation this weekend. They're dueling Iowa, which is another interesting duel for us to get to. We are heavy Iowa people here with you guys both being up there in the Des Moines, Ankeny area. GT, we saw Diak Mahalis Abbas already. We saw Sasso Yaya last year at Nationals. That was a 1-point match. Can Ridge, Lovett, Lamer, any of these guys crack the top 4? And then how do you see the semis and finals go?
I'm going to go first. I think the semis are going to be Lamer against Sammy in the semis, and I think it's going to be Yanni against Abbas in the.
So you got Abbas beating Lovett, and you got Lamer upsetting Yaya. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
And I think Yanni's going to pull out a pretty sizable win in the finals. I'm going to say 7 points.
You think Yanni is going to beat Sammy Sasso by 7 points?
Oh no, I had Lamers in the semis. You know what? I pick Lamers to beat Sasso.
You got Lamer making the finals.
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
He's one of Terry's kids. You know, Terry Pack, a good friend of mine, was my assistant coach, and Lamer had some big wins last year, and he keeps getting better. And so, yeah, I'm going to pick him to upset Sammy.
All right. And again, it's Sammy. It's not Sasso. First name Mark. That's your new nickname. First name Mark. What do you think, GT?
You know, I think
you agree with me, don't you, GT?
No, let's start with the nickname. Is that a good nickname? We call him first name Mark. Is that what it is from now on?
Yeah, we'll figure out a good one for Mark on that one.
Okay. All right, go to your pick.
I mean, this is a legit almost mini national tournament. Like a lot of these guys are national qualifiers. You know, once again, we may be talking about like the top 3, top 4 guys, maybe top 6 guys, a little bit more than the rest of them. But if you scroll down, you know, like we're talking about, you know, Mitch Moore, national qualifier, Kanan Storr, I think what was it, round of 12 or
round of 16. Yeah.
Round of 16. Blockus, another guy that was in the round of 16. Zach Price from South Dakota State, national qualifier, had a great Big 12 tournament last year. You know, Corey Crooks, another guy that, you know, deserves a little bit of attention. Now we're down to the 11th seed in, you know, the Cliff Keen invite. Yeah. So, I mean, Stores, he can make some noise from time to time. He's got great potential. Blockus, same thing. Mitch Moore, he's a little dude, but like he's got a little punch to him. But if I'm gonna do picks and stuff like that, I'm gonna take the national finalists, in Yanni and Sassow to make the finals. But I think the fireworks are going to be in the quarters. I think those matches, whatever those things come out to be with all those guys, those quarterfinal matches are going to be the better matches rather than maybe the semis or even the finals. Just because there's just so much talent right there. Look at like the 4-5 match with Abbas and Levitt.
Yes.
And those are quality matches there.
Well, Mark's got Lamer beating Yaya. I think that'll be exciting. Abbas, love it'll be great. Mitch Moore's going to try to snake Sassow for 7 minutes and just pull on his head. So yeah, I think, and Yanni Abbas was a great match. So that's definitely something to look at. So, I think I'm going to be chalky here and go Yanni against Sassow in the finals. And I'm not sure Sassow can't get him. I think it'd be fun to watch. Okay, 57. We'll go through the rankings first. There wasn't a lot of change here, Mark. You and I kind of put this document together yesterday. So pretty chalky from the week before. So you got Deacon. Two guys have had really good starts of the season at Quincy Monday and Peyton Robb, then Kendall Coleman, Jacob Wright, Justin Thomas, Will Lewan, Hunter Willits, Cerniglia, Hepner, Casto. And by the way, some of this is sad on who we're missing, right? Like Stevan Misick isn't wrestling at 41. Vito is now wrestling at 25 or 33. Oklahoma doesn't have Prado wrestling, Madrigal wrestling, or Dom Demas wrestling. CKLV is usually the best tournament in the country, and it probably still will be, but there's some fireworks missing. Okay. Mark, who you
David.
got? Who you got?
I got Ryan Deacon. I'm going to say both first and last. Mr. Deacon to make the finals, and I think he's going to win it. And I'm going to go with Peyton Robb in the finals against him. I know Quincy Monday looked good against Iowa, Caleb Young, but I've seen other guys make Caleb Young not look very talented at times, and I think Quincy's so quick. But Peyton Robb, he's going to get out there and get after it. I really am impressed with him this year. Peyton Robb could be a top 4 guy in the country.
Peyton Robb, Quincy Monday is that sort of slugger boxer, where it depends what kind of fight it is, right? And I get your point about Monday, that other people have done that to Caleb Young, but he did it in Carver. That to me is extra level good. So you got Deacon over Robb in the finals. GT, you got something different, or are you staying with Mark's pick?
Once again, I don't think, Peyton Robb is wrestling really, really well right now, so I don't want to discredit him. But I think Quincy Monday poses some problems for him with his length that I think would be a great match to see. If Quincy wrestles as good, or if not better than he wrestled in Carver, I see Quincy winning that match. Now, if Robb can slow him down, or make it maybe a 1-score match into the third period, I think we're into a dogfight there. I think Deacon on his side, even if the seeds hold up, Kendall Coleman, Jacob Wright, Kendall Coleman's a beast. I love that guy. I just think that he's on the wrong side. I just don't think that he can beat Deacon currently. The NCAA tournament might be a different story. That guy can make some jumps, and he's beaten some pretty talented guys. And then, of course, on the bottom, there could be some upsets at this tournament. There always is. Every time that there's a Cliff Keen or a Midland, somebody comes out of the woodwork. I think that you're going to see some of these guys maybe knock some people off.
Will Lewan's got that slow you down style. So if he can slow Monday down, that's interesting. And Justin Thomas, his style matches up, I think, okay with Peyton Robb to, maybe keep that match close, but this certainly be a good way to watch. 65. So this this is my beef. This weight I think is ranked wrong and results were wrong. So I highlighted Keegan O'Toole here because Open Mat has him ranked number 1, and I think he should be ranked number 1. So I put that on there. Wick didn't wrestle last year. Marinelli didn't place last year. We already had this conversation, so I won't bang the drum, but I'm just saying. So Wick, 1 seed. Griffith is the 2 seed because he lost that crazy match that shouldn't, and when he had to take down to Ramirez, Carson Karchla, Cam Amin, Canigliaro, Julian Ramirez, the aforementioned, Tanner Cook, Ferranti, Joe Grello, Ogunsanya, Selwyn Porter. I'll go first here. I cannot wait to see Shane Griffith Karchla. I already know Mark's going to pick Karchla, or in this case, Carson, his adopted son. So, but Karchla is so good in freestyle, so good on his feet. I don't know how much work they're doing with him on top, but I think that's interesting. And I think if these are the seeds, I think Wick comes out of it. And I think Karchla could actually beat Wick. He can't get underneath him, probably picks neutral, can't get cradled. But I'll go first and say Karchla beats in order, if the seeds hold, Ramirez, Griffith, Wick. Mark, who you got?
I got Karchla and Wick in the finals, and I'm going to go with Wick. I think he's just too savvy. He's been around a long, long time. He had some great training partners in freestyle this year. I just think he's going to make great strides, and I don't think it's going to be. I could see him scoring back points against anybody in this field. He's that good on top. So
Yeah,
I'm just going to go with Evan, and I think Karchla will win in the semis.
So GT, we're giving Shane Griffith no shine. Are you on that train, or you're like Shane Griffith is still that dude?
First and foremost, I think Evan Wick makes the finals on the top side, and then Shane Griffith is going to make finals. I think Julian Ramirez pulls another move and beats Karchla, and then we get a showdown between Ramirez and Griffith majors him the next time they wrestle. I think he wants all the smoke.
Yeah, bring all the heat. I want it all.
Bring it all. And I think Griffith wins his side and wrestles Wick, and I think Wick wins that match in the finals. But so I'm going to call an upset with Julian Ramirez over Karchla. Kind of in the same, and then Griffith majoring Ramirez in the semis.
Laying the smacketh down. That's the old WWF days.
I think he wants all the smoke. He wants that match again. I think Ramirez keeps it super close with Karchla, and it's like a 3-2, 4-3 match.
I like it. Even though I got Karchla.
We can't even argue with him because of what he did last week when he picked lead major Sheets. He had it won. He had the major. He gave up a takedown late, or he does major him. I mean, he knows something that I don't know. But.
Well, the funny thing is GT and I were watching that match together in Atlanta or Marietta, and I forgot the picks. We're just watching and talking, and then Sheets gets that takedown late. He's like, God dang it. I'm like, well, he goes, I had the major. I'm like, oh, that's right.
So, you know what? I talked to Eggum and I talked to Becker. We've got it all straightened out. Lee's back on the horse. He's gonna do what he's supposed to do next time. You know, I'll talk to Rob Cole. I'll talk to my main man out there.
Kenzo, get a hold of all of them. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. I'll talk to Enoch Francois. He's my homie, NAI guy. Big shout out to him. So
yes.
We'll make this right. So.
All right, 74. Clay Lout had the big win of the week, so he moves up in the rankings. McNally moves down in the rankings. Not a ton of other movement here. So if we go to Cliff Keen, Labriola is the 1, Ethan Smith the 2, Foca, who was 21-3 in his gray shirt years, 3, Hayden Hastings 4, DeVos 5, Fisher 6, Ninehouse 7, almost 8, Kradiger 9, Mantanona 10. Then you got Nolan, Ishins, Kim, Adam Kemp. Mark, I know you're a big Mikey Labriola guy. I assume you have him coming out of the top. Do you
I
have
do.
Ethan Smith coming out of the bottom, or do you have
No.
somebody else?
I'm just gonna go throw a dart. I think this Troy Fisher from Northwestern is a real deal. And I'm gonna pick him to upset Foca. And then I'm going to have him upsetting Ethan Smith, but I think Labriola wins it.
All right. GT, who you got?
I'm gonna take Labriola, and I'm gonna take Foca in the finals. I think Labriola wins. But I think the match that I really, really want to see, and this is just my own personal thing, is Hayden Hastings and Cade DeVos.
Yeah.
Because I think both those guys are kind of right on that round of 12 blood round type category where they could make a run. Very impressed with both those athletes. So just definitely want to give those guys a little bit of a shout out.
Yep. And I'll get to see those guys at the Big 12s. That's a potential rematch at the Big 12s or dual meet, depending on who they have on their schedule. I looked at my picks. I have Cornell taking 5th. So I got to be about Foca making the finals. I got to be about Foca making the podium. So, since I whiffed on Michigan. So I'll take Labriola over Foca in the finals. All right, 84. Truax, Samuelson, Venz, Jonathan Lowe, Darian Roberts, Caleb Romero. Interesting with Romero's the 6, Max Lyon 7, Travis Stefanik's the 8, David Key is the 9. Let's see where that puts him. And again, there was not a lot of movement at the rankings this week. This Mark, I'll let you go first. You and I, when we would have this weekend of CKLV, it's actually a lot harder to track than people think because dual meets are super simple. You just look at did the lower ranked guy win, and if he didn't, then there's nothing to report. In here, it's not just placing; it's head to head. Like, let's say you're the 1 seed and you get injured and lose in the quarters, and then you default out. So you DNP'd, but what do we do about that? Because you didn't actually lose the second match. Like, say I was coming through the backside and I got a default over you. I probably shouldn't be ranked above you because you were injured. So, and you get a lot of those. It's going to be tricky. I'll let you go first. I know who you're picking on the bottom, but just go ahead and say it and then the top.
On the bottom, I'm gonna pick Caleb Romero.
Oh, I was wrong. Go ahead.
To beat them and to beat Samuelson, and I'm gonna take Truax on the top. I think having Wick in the room, those two are beating heads. I think he's going to continue to get better. Obviously, he's already ranked 8th, so he's done pretty well. So that's what I like. I'm gonna take Truax to win it all.
All right, GT.
All right, I'm going to take Truax from the top, Venz from the bottom, and I'm going to take Venz as the champ. I think he sorts it out. I think Truax and those guys and Venz make it a freaking epic final. But yeah, I think Caleb Romero and Taylor Venz will be the better match. I think Venz will do extremely well against Samuelson. Still a decision, but I think that it'll be a handily decision.
Okay, I agree with you. Venz over Truax. And I need Jonathan Lowe to place because apparently I got Cornell taking 5th in nationals. So, all right, 197. It's a pretty salty weight here. You got the nationally ranked guys. Like, if you look at 6, 7, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, Woodley, Bruckey, Buchanan, Schultz, Dupre, Panola, Sloan, and then Cardenas, Kozer, Hoffman, Clothier, Stout, Andrew Davison, Michael Foy, who he had a good win last week. So he's a guy that'll move up in the rankings when we go over there. So, I mean, this is a super interesting weight. I'm pretty sure Mark is going to pick Eric Schultz to come out of the top. So I'll pick that first, just so it looks like he copied me. And then I'll take Buchanan just because I watched Buchanan last year a bunch. And he had some good wins. He beat the West Virginia kid who was the preseason #1 3 or 4 times. It was crazy. Like beat him in the duel, beat him in the Big 12s, beat him at nationals. And I think he beat him one other time. So GT, who you got?
Whew. All right, I'm going to take, on the top, I'm going to take Mark, first name Mark Lou. I'm going to take Lou because we're boys like that.
Sweet Lou.
Yeah, exactly. Sweet Lou. I'm going to take him, and I'll take Brucky to make finals, and I'll take Brucky to win it.
Okay, which is big for Michigan. Like we're talking about, that would say a lot there. Who you got, Marco?
Not so fast, Grasshopper. Eric Schultz is going to win this tournament. And I don't think he's ever going to be challenged in this tournament. So I think it will be.
He's not going to be challenged.
No, he's going to win. He will own every match. He may only win by 3 or 4 points, but he is going to dominate the weight class. There's nobody that's going to even look like they can beat him. My opinion. And I have been wrong before, but I think I'm right here. And I'm going to put him in the finals against Brucky, and he beats Brucky by 3 or 4.
Okay. All right.
I wanted to go to 6 seed again, but I cannot take Purdue there. I just can't do it.
Can't take Panola?
I cannot.
Or Thomas?
Yeah,
Okay.
I can't take either one of them. Panola would be a good first name, by the way.
Panola.
Yeah,
Be a good
Panola
first
Thomas.
name. Okay.
Yeah, it'd be a great first name.
All right. So we're missing some fireworks here at heavyweight. No Gable, no Paris. Super disappointing, frankly. No Schultz. So, I mean, we've got some good matches, but Orndorff, Andrews, Lance, Slavikowski, because I'm the guy that gets to pronounce the hard names, Davison, Nevels, Heinzelman, Doyle, Del Garbino, Cassiope Killer, and Gas Tank Gary Traub. I don't know whose turn it is to go first. And Mark, you can go first. Who you got?
Yeah. Okay. On the top, I want to pick Lucas Davidson from Northwestern to be in the finals.
Okay. Double upsets. I like that.
And then on the bottom, I'm going to take Christian Lance from Nebraska. And I'm going to take Christian Lance from Nebraska winning the tournament. I like his coach. I like the guy that he's working with every single day.
That Tervel Delagna is pretty good at wrestling.
He's not too bad. And you know what he's done with some other big guys. So
yeah,
I think he's going to have a really, really good year this year. So
GT.
Hey, scroll down a little bit. I got to see the rest of these boys. Okay, got it. All right, so I'm going to take Orndorff from the top.
Okay.
And then I'm going to take Christian Lance as well. I just think I'm going to take also that Lucas Davidson gets third in this tournament.
That's a subtle, low key, nice pick. Just off the board knowledge in case you're betting this weekend.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to take. Was it win, place, and show or something like that? I'm going to take Lucas Davidson to get third at this weight. But I think to Mark's point, I think he's spot on. I think Christian Lance is wrestling really well. I think he's got a good heavyweight coach that's going to develop him a little bit. I think Orndorff will win the finals, but I think Christian Lance closes that gap and makes it a lot more interesting in the Big Ten for that mid, 5 to 8 seed at the Big Tens.
Yeah,
because I really think there are tiers to the heavyweight structure within the Big Ten with Gable, Mason, Tony, all those guys that are like just right there already and have proven themselves. But I think, Christian Lance, Tate Orndorff, they're vying for that, 4, 5, 6, 7 spot.
The Big Ten's stupid good. All those guys you mentioned, plus Kirkfleet, like that's crazy good, Yeah. So there's a couple big duels. Virginia Tech at Missouri is a great duel. And then Iowa State. Mark, you and I walked through VTech Mizzou, and I mean, I think we'll just kind of click off the matchups for people so they can do it. And I may go Mizzou or Virginia Tech first. I apologize, but Latona certain at 25 is a great match. Crawford, Corbin Myers. Myers will be favorite. 41 is Allen Hart, and Hilgis. So I mean, Mizzou's probably favored. 49 is Andonian against Josh Edmond. First guy to 14 points in that match. Jay Cuse will be favored at 57. 65 O'Toole will be favored. 74 Mackay is going to be favored. 84 Bolin will be favored, but Jeremiah Kent's really good. 97 Rocky Elam will be favored. Heavyweight Zach Elam will be a slight favorite. But I think we looked at it, Mark, and it was like 4-4 and 2 toss-ups. Is that kind of how we had it?
Yep.
So, if you get a chance to watch that match, I don't know if it's on ESPN3 or where it is, but that's probably going to be a great match to watch. GT, Iowa State. So I'm going to just say this and then let you kind of have the last word. To me, Iowa's the most enigmatic team right now. If you argue that they're going to kill everybody, all you got to do is look at the rankings, right? If you argue they might not be that good, Spencer Lee hasn't wrestled this year. I don't think Murin's wrestled this year. Marinelli won a 1-point match with his teammate. Cassiope got pinned, and Warner hasn't wrestled this year. I'm not saying the sky is falling. I just feel like it might be somewhere in between. And if they don't wrestle a couple of their guys, Iowa State can go maybe 5-5 with them. If they wrestle everybody, they could go 9-1 against them. Like I think David Carr would be the only favorite that Iowa State has if it's the number ones against the number ones. So you're up there. You're an Iowa State alum. Do you have any idea what's going on and which of the starters we'll see this weekend?
No, I think, once again, this is, whatever it is, Super Bowl Sunday for wrestling in Iowa. I mean, this is where everyone will shell out and go up to Hilton and Ames and watch, the perennial powerhouses wrestle each other. I think, to your point, Iowa, if you look at the rankings and maybe their national tournament team or who they're going to be sending to the Big Ten tournament or conference tournament, might not be who walks out on the mat on Sunday in Ames, but that's an opportunity for those number twos to solidify themselves a little bit. The Nelson Brands, the Miles Wilsons, Ibarra, Shriver, Seibert, some of these other guys that are wrestling for Iowa currently. They get an opportunity to go up against Iowa State's ones, and from everything that I'm basically seeing is Iowa State is going to wrestle every single one of their best guys. I don't think there's anybody that's really hurt. I don't think there's anybody they're going to hold out or anything like that. So I think Iowa State will wrestle Iowa pretty tough. But once again, this is a tight duel no matter how you slice it. Each year there's things that go nuts, and then there's also extremely tight matches where you don't see that guy wrestling that great, and then all of a sudden it's an upset. So
yeah, it was 2 or 3 years ago. I can't remember with all the COVID stuff, but Iowa State was like 3 inches away from winning that match when Gomez tossed DeSanto, and if he had gotten the pin, they would have won the meet. I mean, obviously, I think they're very different when it comes to tournament teams. Even if Iowa doesn't have all these kids, they're considerably better than almost everybody in the country. Where Iowa State's got one of the best wrestlers pound for pound in the country. And then they got a bunch of other guys who are trying to get on the podium. I think Ian Parker's like a guy that can get there depending on what weight he's at and everything else. GT graduated from Iowa State. I started my career there. So, I mean, we have love for them. And have had, I think, everybody on their coaching staff on my podcast. But I think that's, like you said, Super Bowl Sunday. That'll be interesting. And Lehigh, Penn State is there'll be some good matchups there. Lehigh's wrestling well right now. So I hit the wrong button here. Meant to hit stop share. So it'll be a great week. I think CKLV will be the attention on Friday and Saturday. And then Saturday night, if you get a chance to watch VT versus Mizzou, that's a really cool duel. They've done that like on not an auditorium where they hold plays, like on a stage there. They've done that before. I don't know what they're doing this year. And then Hilton's one of the most historical venues for wrestling. So we hope you guys enjoyed it. We always enjoy doing this. Marco, thanks for the help yesterday. GT, thanks for the help last night. Appreciate you guys keeping
David,
me.
before we close out, Grant, do you know if it's going to be on TV, the Iowa State Bill?
I believe it'll be on Cyclone TV. They usually stream their home duels on that platform, but
Okay.
I don't think that anything as far as like Iowa Public Television or Mediacom will have it. Maybe Mediacom will stream this one or have it on their channel as well. Don't know that for sure though.
They
Usually the
do.
easiest way to do that is just go to Iowa State's wrestling schedule, and almost all these schools now have a button to click to watch. Like that's how we watched Stanford, Oklahoma State. Like you could get to the Pac-12 link. So we encourage people to do that. There's some tricks in watching matches that some people just don't know. Maybe you're not on the internet all the time, but there's a lot of ways to watch a lot of meets. I'm 99% sure Flow's got CKLV because they've had it for the last gazillion years. So great place to watch that. Those guys do a great job. We are out of time for GT and Mr. First Name Mark. I'm David. Thank you guys for watching, listening, and sharing. See y'all next week.